In a development that has captured global attention, high-level peace talks between the United States and Iran are now underway in Islamabad, Pakistan. This unexpected diplomatic breakthrough comes at a time when tensions between the two nations have reached critical levels, raising fears of a broader conflict across the Middle East. For decades, relations between Washington and Tehran have been defined by mistrust, hostility, and limited direct communication. Since the 1979 Iranian Revolution, formal diplomatic ties have remained severed, with both sides relying on indirect channels to communicate. But today marks a significant shift. For the first time in years, senior officials from both countries are meeting face-to-face in a neutral location. Pakistan, stepping into a crucial mediating role, is hosting these talks in its capital, Islamabad. The choice of venue highlights Pakistan's growing importance in global diplomacy and its strategic position between major geopolitical players. Security in the city has been significantly heightened, with strict protocols in place to ensure the safety of all delegations. The talks are being held behind closed doors, away from public scrutiny, as negotiators attempt to navigate one of the most complex geopolitical conflicts in modern history. At the center of these discussions are urgent concerns, de-escalation, regional stability, and the possibility of a longer-term agreement that could prevent further military confrontation. As the world watches closely, one question dominates the conversation. Could this be the moment that changes everything? The timing of these peace talks is not slučajna. It comes after a period of intense escalation that brought the United States and Iran dangerously close to open conflict. Military actions, strategic strikes, and rising tensions across the region had created a volatile environment, leaving the global community on edge. Oil markets reacted sharply, global stock exchanges experienced fluctuations, and fears of a wider war began to grow. The potential consequences were not limited to the Middle East. A conflict between these two nations could have triggered economic and political instability worldwide. This is precisely why these talks are so critical. Both sides now appear to recognize the risks of continued escalation. For the United States, maintaining stability in the region is essential for both economic and strategic reasons. For Iran, avoiding further isolation and potential military consequences is equally important. Reports suggest that the discussions may focus on several key areas: reducing military activity, establishing communication channels to prevent misunderstandings, and possibly working toward a temporary or extended ceasefire agreement. However, the challenges remain significant. Decades of mistrust cannot be resolved overnight. Each side enters the talks with its own demands, priorities, and red lines. Despite these obstacles, the very fact that these talks are happening signals a shift in approach. Diplomacy, rather than confrontation, is now at the forefront. The stakes could not be higher, and the outcome of these negotiations may shape the future of global politics for years to come. As the host of these historic negotiations, Pakistan has positioned itself at the center of a major diplomatic effort. By facilitating direct dialogue between the United States and Iran, Islamabad is playing a role that could redefine its place on the global stage. Pakistan's involvement is not slučajna. The country has long maintained complex relationships with both Washington and Tehran. Its geographic location, combined with its political connections, makes it uniquely suited to act as a bridge between the two sides. Hosting such high-stakes talks requires careful planning, discretion, and a commitment to neutrality. Pakistani officials have emphasized their goal of promoting peace and stability, not only in the region but across the broader international community. The choice of Islamabad as the venue also reflects a level of trust from both parties. It suggests that Pakistan is seen as a credible and reliable intermediary, capable of managing sensitive negotiations. At the same time, the responsibility is immense. The success or failure of these talks could have lasting implications, not just for the United States and Iran, but for Pakistan itself. If the negotiations lead to progress, Pakistan's role as a diplomatic facilitator could be significantly strengthened. On the other hand, if talks break down, it may highlight the deep divisions that still exist. For now, Pakistan stands at the center of a critical moment, one that could influence the direction of international diplomacy in a profound way. As negotiations continue behind closed doors, the world is left waiting for signals of progress. Will these talks lead to a breakthrough, or will they become another missed opportunity in a long history of failed diplomacy? At this stage, outcomes remain uncertain. There are several possible scenarios. The most optimistic outcome would be a formal agreement, perhaps a ceasefire extension or a framework for continued dialogue. Even a small step forward, such as reopening communication channels, would be seen as a positive development. A more cautious scenario involves limited progress. In this case, both sides may agree to continue discussions without reaching any immediate agreement. While less dramatic, this would still represent a shift toward diplomacy. However, there is also the risk that talks can stall or collapse entirely. If that happens, tensions could rise once again, potentially bringing the region closer to conflict. For now, all eyes remain in Islamabad. Leaders, analysts, and citizens around the world are closely monitoring every update, aware that the outcome of these talks could have far-reaching consequences. One thing is clear: this moment matters. Whether it leads to peace or renewed tension, the decisions made in these discussions will shape the future, not just for the United States and Iran, but for the entire world. And as the situation continues to unfold, the question remains: are we witnessing the beginning of peace or just a pause before the next storm?